You guys there? Some technical difficulties with some of this OBS software, so I had to switch over to our usual Zoom room that we use for our Forex group. All right, good. You guys can hear me? I'm going to switch this other mic off. This big ass. Plus, you can't see it in my face anyway. There, that should be good. You guys hear me? Ay, ay, ay. What do you guys got going on? I have, what do I have up? We can talk traditional markets a little bit. I just posted this on the Apple. I'm going to try to make some bigger picture calls on some of these equity names, especially as I think the market's getting closer probably to what is maybe a major top. What's up, Gio? Scotty? Stacking the corn. Are you mean trading corn futures? Corn. I was looking at corn the other day. There's a pretty interesting pennant or wedge or descending triangle right here. Get my pen out 1 second. You guys see that? I think commodities are really ready to turn. Global macro, big picture, the next couple of years, I think we're going to get pretty good rip. It's not quite ready. I know for you guys that know Mark, he's long wheat. He does a lot of farming. He's a Wisconsin guy. It's trying to. I mean, we're still making long-term lower highs on the weekly. Oh, what's up, Alex? How many usernames do you have? Are you going to change that every week? Whale Hunter. Young gun crypto maniac. What's up, Santiago? So guys on BTC. So Google banning crypto ads, huh? That's the news of the day. What do you guys think about that? I think it's a bunch of bullshit, though. Christine over there at the IMF running her mouth again. That lady is such a criminal. It was like we talked about in the room, though. We're just going to play this card out all the time. Money laundering, blah, blah, blah. But we signal cover some of these shorts. I don't know. Some of you guys are kind of short. Seems like maybe on BitMEX or if you're using futures. I kind of regretted yesterday when we rallied that we didn't cover some down here in front of kind of around 8,600. And then this morning we got another shot at doing so. It's 4 hours. The 4 hours is not exactly low, but the hourly is pretty low here. to walk you guys through what I did on the euro. I know, crypto. I know what you mean, brother. That's okay. You know, when we were up at 18, 19,000, it was the complete opposite. It was nothing but mania and hype out of the media. So now we're at the bottom of the cycle and it's the opposite. So that's okay. Kind of what we want to look for is when the market will stop going down on bad news. That's kind of what we want to look for. But I think we're kind of in agreement that when you look at the daily chart of futures, I know we have this daily cycle that's low, but it's like I just talked about in that video that if we can't get above the 8, then there's a lot of room back here to 7,000. So you can pay attention to where you close. So you have intraday, you have daily closes that matter. And let me change this line width. You've got intraday closes, intraday moves, and then you have the actual closes that matter. So futures, we closed here and we closed here. So that's 2 big levels. You can draw it like this. Basically right there. And right here. So we've got the daily close on February 5th, which was 70.60 on CBOE futures. Now, granted, this was the first contract that came out. So now we're going to roll to the second one. But this should be a continuation chart, which is usually when you take the old contract and they kind of average in the price of the roll. Sometimes it gets specific. If you're like trying to roll a bunch of contracts, you kind of want to know which contract closed where. But that for our type of trading, it doesn't really matter. And then this close was 7,600. So 70.60 and 7,600 in futures. That's going to be 2 big spots. And then obviously the intraday lows. 65.65, 58.80. The markets, if we break the lows from last week, 8,300 in cash, looks like 83.80 in futures. We should at least test those daily closing lows down here. I think that's kind of where we're going. This daily cycle might just hang out down here a little bit longer. We got a good candidate for a big picture double bottom, though. What do you guys think? Santiago, I don't know what they were doing at the G20. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Japan was trying to do a lot of stuff lately. Did you guys trade the euro at all today? I'll show you what I did. So big picture on the dollar, we keep talking about. We were getting a little bit high within the range yesterday. I thought maybe we could push to 124.40 again. Doesn't look like the market wants to do that. I kind of was a little bit. I wasn't as aggressive just because this daily cycle. I don't really like the daily cycle was turning up, coming into this high yesterday. So I was being a little bit patient. I didn't sell as much as I wanted to on the core side, but sometimes that happens. There's worse things. But then today it came in day trade. So I sold a little bit last night, covered some this morning, but came in today. And this was a good example of you just got to be a little bit patient for the cycle to come up. But I basically sold into the high of this move right here today. And I was selling in this tail and in this tail. Now we're at new lows, which is nice. Still have some on short. So you see how the 30-minute cycle, I was going over this with Alex yesterday. We call that, use that 30-minute as your runway. So it works. If you want to start a trade, if you're trying to start day trade shorts down here with the low in London session and the London session, you know, if you're not trading with cycles, I mean, I used to do that all the time. You come in and you just go with the trend. You don't have a choice. You want to trade with the trend. So you get busy down here. And next thing you know, you have an average cost that's basically on the low of the day. And then you're stuck trying to work this position all the way back. I mean, that's 35, 40 pips right in your face all morning. It's really hard to work a position. So as I struggled through that and early in probably midway through my career, then I was like, oh man, I incorporate this idea of time and cycles, and then boom, you start your trade up here. That helps you pick off the high. I mean, you're starting your trade at the completely opposite end of the pendulum. Here's the wrong time to be shorting. This is the perfect time to be shorting. It makes all the difference. I'm telling you guys, it's just a simple concept. You follow that 30-minute when you want to day trade. You can do the same thing in the crypto markets. Doesn't matter what token or what market. You go here to the 15-minute. All right. So I came in this morning and I'm waiting for this 15-minute cycle to complete itself. So at 6 o'clock, 6:37, I checked this cycle and it's really low. I'm like, all right, well, I know the trend is down this morning. We had lower highs. I see all this. You see all this downtrend. But my cycle just wasn't very good to be starting a trade. So I sold it really small. And then this is different than a lot of amateur or novice traders. They don't want their position to go against them. They always want it to go right in their favor. And that's kind of true for a lot of professional traders too. But a good pro consistent trader wants the market to come against him so he can get more size on. So I sold it small knowing that the cycle is low. And then you want it to come back up. Now you can start putting out some bigger lots. And then you really want to wait for that cycle to cross. And like Alex, like I was telling you yesterday, you got to wait for that 1 minute cycle to roll over at least. The 1 minute will roll first. And when you get your 1 minute to roll over, then you can go to work and start hitting the market and selling more down. You can really get more aggressive then because you're on the left-hand side of the cycle here. And then when you roll over, now you're on the right-hand side of the cycle. That's the right-hand side of the chart, as I call it. So that little 15-minute stochastic cross with a 5x3 setting will help you do that. You guys see that? And then you can contrarian sell some lots in there. And then I actually hit it pretty hard right there. Show you what that looks like. On the 5 minute. So you're climbing up here. You have a 1 minute. You guys see the direction of the 8? The direction of the 8 here on the 1 minute. That's showing you the 1 minute trend that's bullish. Let me put it over here. So right here, I'm slowly selling some, covering some. And I'm just putting out smaller lots because I haven't got this trend to change. All right, here we had numbers. That's what this spike is. I actually didn't get to sell anything as high as I wanted. I got a little distracted. But on this side, I started shorting right here. And then as it came down, I covered a little bit here. And then this moved back. My traders know that this creates what we call a bearish wall here. And boom, right at halfway, this is me selling right here up this wall. Right there, boom. And then you got the drop, and then you got all of the rollover. All right, then you got all of this. It's a nice trade. And I covered into these lows, absolutely nailed the low, covered into new lows. And then guess what? You got another bounce back up the wall, same freaking concept. About halfway, boom, sell it again, drop to new lows. You guys get that wall concept? That's like free information for a lot of you guys that, you know, that get the coaching. This is the stuff we work on. And I kind of missed some of your guys' questions. I can come back to some of this, like Boris is talking about. Trade on the short side. Yeah, we can, Santiago, we can talk about Apple. Checks mix. Did I explain the 30-minute versus 15-minute? What's up, Martin? Hey, Hector. Thanks, buddy. So let me see if I can show you guys one other thing here. I'm just trying to see if I can show you where my high sales were. $14.13. $14.13. $34. I don't know. It's not that interesting. 23.80. 123.87. Pretty good. It's right in here. Probably should have covered a little bit more right when we were talking there. So 87 were some of my bigger sales right there on this bounce right on this break. Right here. And then Alex, this is just what we were talking about yesterday. You see how we start to break the bands on the 1 minute? So the 1 minute rolls first, right? Then your 5 minute. Five-minute 8 starts to roll over. That's showing you the break in the 1 minute. And then you start to break the 30 here. And by this point right here, you've entered a new downtrend. So all of these rallies you can be pretty aggressive on. This one was a nice bounce back towards pi. And then you want to be covering into new lows. So that you guys can remember a good professional trader covers into new lows. The amateur is fearful here, waiting, seeing all this red, and then looking at this low and then determining that the break of the low is bearish right there. So you can be sure that there were people shorting right there, which is terrible because when you drop from here to a new low, the last thing you want to be doing is starting your short. When you bounce and you break to a new low, you drop from a high like this and you drop to a new low, you do not want to be shorting there. You want to be covering. The only time you want to short new lows is if it's like this and you're basing and then you break the low. You don't want to short new lows from a drop from a high. That's why I say how price gets to a certain area, how it gets there matters. Just like how fast Bitcoin drops into the pi line or how fast it drops into 7,000, it matters. If it collapses, that's a different opportunity than if it just slowly grinds its way down there. Like if we got down to say 8,000 on BTC, no, let's say we drop to if the low level is 6 and we come down here and we start to do this and then we break 6, that's going to be trouble. But if you just come down and you really create angle and distance and you drop into that support, that's a good time to buy because there's a better chance that you snap back. So how you get to a level matters. But anytime you drop from a high to a new low, you want to be covering. You don't want to ever be shorting that. All right. Anyway, what do you guys want to talk about? You can use the 1 minute. I use the 1 minute all the time. You just got the thing with the 1 minute is you don't want to get so close to the screen that you notice that the 30 right here, and don't get so enamored into this 1 minute chart that this seems like a big rally on the 1 minute at this point. If you got zoomed in here on the 1 minute and you start shorting heavy here, when you're on the 1 minute, this is the 30, you gotta keep your shorts heavier at or above the 30. You don't want to get stuck shorting on the 1 minute near like the 8 like that. As you can see when I zoom out. All right, you can't get heavy on the 1 minute down here. You got to wait for the bounces up towards the moving average or higher. Higher is even better, because when you're over here on the 5 minute, you don't want to be heavily short here. You're below the 8. You want to be looking for places to short heavy at the 30, at the bands, up in these areas. So you can use the 1 minute. You just got to make sure that I've done that a lot of times where you just get too aggressive, too low, and you put yourself in trouble if you get a decent move back, something like this, or anywhere you bounce in here. Does that make sense? I think you know what I mean, Alex. How do I do that, Boris? That sounds cool. I'll have to play around with that. I don't know. There's so many cool things on MetaTrader I don't know how to do. I'd still like to get the average cost on there. Did that help you? Stop shorting below the 30 MA. That helped you, right? Doesn't mean you can't hit the sell button. You gotta be patient with your size. Guys, you can do pretty much anything in markets as long as you get your size, if your size is light. Because I always teach in terms of like 1/10 and then even in terms of 1/100th. So for example, like on a let's say on a $50,000 FX account, if on a 50,000 FX account, 50 to 100 margins, every broker's different, 50 to 100 times. It used to be 200 times leverage. Some places like, I don't know, it used to be like Australia or different part, you can get 400 to 1 leverage. I don't know how much that's really helpful for most traders, but on a $50,000 account for most FX brokers, you can get into $2 to $3 million worth of position, depending on the forex pair. But just to keep it simple, as to say $1 million is a lot that would be a big size lot. If you hit the sell button on a full million, or what they call a 10 lot in FX, that's a lot. If you're trading small, that would be like 10,000 lot. So I might put a 10,000 lot out and not even care about it and let it run for 500 pips on the core side. So if I'm going to get heavy, I definitely don't get heavy below the 30 ever. And I try to like not even, I'll do maybe 10,000 to 30,000 on that in this particular example, but I don't even really like doing 100,000 below like the 30 on the 5 minute. You guys want to get into crypto here? Much better averages, right? There you go. You can keep your average much closer to the market for sure. Are you guys doing anything on have you guys been doing any arbitrage between these exchanges? Back sore. Oh, why? Uh, we can look at that one. SBD. I'm not familiar with that one. I think Ethereum's pretty cheap here, guys. We talked earlier about it's probably the first one that's going to test that low end, the February lows. So when you look on the 30-minute here, you see that spread between Ethereum and, I mean, it looks pretty cheap on a relative value basis. That wasn't the case over here. Ethereum was pretty cheap down here too. Yeah, so guys, on the arbitrage stuff, I mean, I think you got to have a decent amount of capital to be willing, and you got to be willing to sit it on the exchanges, unless you have some sort of institutional setup where you've literally got an office like in China that you can transfer into these exchanges and then withdraw, which I know there's some firms that do that. There's some prop shops out of Chicago that are doing that. Dude, they're doing like the last I heard from one of my FX buddies that knows the guys that run that prop shop. I mean, they're doing like $300,000 a month. But they got an office over there, so I think that's really the only way to get the dollars out, unless you do it this way. What I like doing is, you can do the ARB into an exchange. Like XMO is one I kind of do from time to time. So we look at the ARB here. Then we'll get into some of these other tokens you guys are posting. So this is a Russian exchange, right? XMO. Kind of a weird name. So the way I've been doing it is you can do the ARB where you buy on Gemini or GDAX. Is usually pretty good buy levels. So if you can get filled on the bid, right, and then you can transfer right to XMO pretty quickly. I mean, I've had really good execution with them, and that's not bad. Like even on Ethereum today, you can buy Ethereum at well, that's on Bittrex, but even on Bittrex, you can get lifted. You can get hit at 653. Get hit at 653. And you could sell 688. That's pretty good. If you can do that on 5 Ether, 10 Ether, $300, maybe a little bit more. And then the thing is, though, you obviously you'll be sitting in cash on their exchange, so you gotta consider that risk, that exchange risk. But then the way to start that trade over is I've just been waiting for the big dips. So like I'll wait for these bigger picture market dips, like we're kind of going through right now. So let's say on the rally up last a week or so ago, or even in here, let's just say you're doing the ARB in here, right? And then you get the big picture drawdown. Once you have that cash building up on that exchange, just wait for the big picture levels, go buy that up on XMO, like say down here. And then if we rally, you're going to be buying higher levels on the XMO exchange. But if you buy it well, big picture, and then let's say we get a 200-300 point rally, then go sell, take your profits on XMO and go to Litecoin or go to whatever you want to transfer back to Gemini and then start the trade over that way. That's the way I've been doing it. You just have to you got to be willing to sit in some cash on the exchange and be willing to lose that if XMO disappears. And then wait for those big picture dips, scale in, wait for the bounce, make your profit on that trade, then convert all that to whatever, start the process over. All right, so you guys want to look at the first one. I think Boris asked was, or Dodds asked, Mitch asked SBD. Hector. Oh, I like that. I like that idea, Alex. I don't know if I have any of my wallets up. I should do more of that, huh? Panhandle some more. SBD. SBD. So this is, can I get it versus the dollar? Doesn't look like they have this one against the dollar, huh? This coin's been around a while. I don't know anything about this, but I like the price action. Anytime you get a chart like this is a typical altcoin chart. You got nothing but lower highs, bear market, everything's lower highs. And then, you start to make higher highs. So big intraday pump. But then look at these real money candles. So that's the footprints of money right there. And then whatever this was. And then you got to be taking profit into this angle and distance from the bands. Look how far away you are. And then you just have this massive wall. You basically did an 80% retrace right into the 200. But this whole zone is kind of a long-term buy zone. I mean, here's your floor, right? This is your is this basically zero? This is basically zero, right? So you know where your risk is. But this has had a pretty good move down, so I kind of like this risk reward here. I don't know anything about this token, but that's how I would play it. You just work a scale into this area, and your risk is below zero, or not. Your risk is zero, and then at some point, maybe you do this again. You retest these highs. That's like a triple. That's a triple just from here, right? Looks like it. Power's killing it. Are you long that, Santiago? All right, hold on one second. I want to look at Neo. I get a little bit distracted. I'm back looking at the euro. um, One sec, guys. See, they're hitting the euro again here. If you covered into those lows, that would have been a good place to resell. The 5-minute cycle was coming back up right in this area. All right. So Neo. There's my Litecoin address. If you guys are feeling generous, since Alex brought it up. BTCZ, I know. I haven't even gotten lifted on anything. I've been trying to put offers out there versus Ethereum versus BTC. I can't get lifted at all. I feel pretty good about it. Once the market turns back up, I think we can get 2-3 cents on BTCZ. That's not saying a lot, but that's a home run potentially, maybe longer term. Neo. Real quick, Cardano. You guys know that I like Cardano down here a lot. I've been stalking it like crazy. I was tempted to add back to it a little bit today. It's 10% off of that sell signal we issued. And I don't know. I think we're going to get lower prices still again on it. But I like anything below 20 cents. I'm going to add, and then I would love it to go 15 cents, 10 cents, and then really get aggressive. I kind of want to start trading some of these coins too that have a little bit less supply. You know, Dash, Zcash. That's part of why Dash traded so well for so long. What are the other ones with kind of low supply you guys like? I kind of was looking at Neo and gas. The gas supply is kind of another interesting story. But we're breaking the lows here on Neo at 78. So, I mean, you're just an earshot within retesting the February lows in the 200. So I think you want to be a buyer. Directionally, we want to be a buyer on a scale down here. And then our risk is kind of below right here. I think that makes a lot of sense. Look how much we've dropped from, I mean, same thing here. We bounced about halfway. We want to be buyers down here. But you don't have to be in a huge rush, guys. We can catch the hourly and 4-hour back this way too. And you can try to catch these higher lows. It's always kind of nice to scale in case you V bottom and you don't get much of a higher low to trade. See, here on Neo, you never really got a higher low. This was a V bottom, right? See, there's no higher lows anywhere here. There's this one. But try to scale in a little bit on the drop. and then like to see like a bullish engulfing, and then try to catch the higher lows and get more aggressive on this side of the cycle and try to get some of these higher lows. That way you don't have to get heavy into the low in case that low breaks. Then you never, you know what I mean? You don't have as much risk on. That's kind of how you play that contrarian left side of the cycle and wait to see if you get the right side of it. Yeah, we were talking about the arbitrage. Yeah, the transfer speed matters. I mean, you got to really time it well if you're going to try to move BTC and wait an hour when it was really slow. But you know, you can move Ethereum pretty quick. The confirmation times are pretty good on XMO. Or I've sold into the Canadian exchange before. That one's pretty good. This one, QCX. And then I've with Dave, we've done it into the Gate exchange once. That one was I couldn't get open over there as a US guy. Kind of I don't know. U.S. House Subcommittee. Oh, I know, right? Unbelievable. And then did you hear? And then the Equifax CEO is selling. He was selling beforehand. I don't know how much earlier. That's messed up, though. And let's not forget about all the bank bailouts and bank bail-ins we're about to have. From Cyprus on down to Greece. Ridiculous. You guys looking at DCR? Oh, DNR is only 1 million supply? All right. Chris, you don't like gas? Kind of depends on your timing, huh? The last move I made was right here. When you break the bands out, go to the sidelines, and then you save yourself this drop. But you know, this is versus BTC. Do they have a gas chart versus the dollar? No. Gas versus Neo? That's kind of interesting. DCR. Is this decreed? Is DCR decreed? Decred, however you want to say it. Um, I like that you're back towards pi. It's kind of like the rest of the market. I mean, we want to be buyers back towards this February lows, right? I like this. I like this longer term back here. Bitcoin bubble just about to burst, says major money manager. Wow. Thanks for coming out. I don't know where you were at 18, 19,000. We need a few more headlines like that. And that'll be the low. I kind of like this one, guys, longer term. We were going to talk about that in the podcast the other day. It was a good contrarian indicator, huh? They had the guy on Fox News. They had this guy on Fox News. He said, what did he say this morning? They were bringing up the Google headlines. They're like, oh yeah, yeah. You know, it's still a problem. There's no regulation. Blah 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 blah. And then the one expert's like, yeah, you know, we also have to remember that you know, you click on these Google ads and it'll put a code virus on your computer and it'll start mining for you. And you have all six of them on Fox News going, yeah, yeah. It's like, you mean I can click a banner ad and then I'll start mining the coin? That sounds like a good thing to me. Yeah, yeah, that would be horrible. I mean, my only opinion on the Google ad stuff is that you can't have people guaranteeing these returns on these ICOs. That's just in the face of every securities law. So I get why they want to do that. Anyway. Decreed. Hybrid masternodes? What is that? DNR? Whoa, easy, Coinigy. Easy. What the hell did I do? Looks pretty strong. DNR looks pretty strong versus BTC. I mean, it's already had a pretty big rally. We already looked at this one, right? I don't know. Maybe back at the bands. Probably add there. The others that I was kind of looking at, I mean, I think Ethereum's probably going to be the first one. I mean, I added to that a little bit today. Like I said in the video, I think we probably want to wait. I think Ethereum would be the first one to test those February lows. You still have the support from last week below the market on Ether at 636, and you have the 200. I wouldn't be surprised if we rallied hard right off of that area right there. think some of you mentioned POSW. I mean, the same thing as the overall market. I like it back here around 40 cents. You had to be a seller above $1, and now you want to be a buyer. What else? What did I say? I'm all over the place. Ethereum Classic. We had some nice sales guys on ETC, so I think now you want to be a buyer again. I think you start adding back to Ethereum Classic down here. That's another coin that has, I think, relatively smaller amount of supply. I think there's a lot of people that like to mine this one too. I like it down here. It's kind of thinking maybe the same on EOS. I'm gonna put a buy signal out on Ethereum Classic, and this is my thoughts here on EOS. This is versus BTC, but this was one of the strongest charts here for most of the year, or most of last year and the beginning of this year. We sold pretty well up here, but I played a buy setup here. Pretty classic buy setup in our model, right? And then you had the nice move up. You had a secondary dip here. You could have traded this if you were trading more actively, sell into the resistance. But if you treat this as one giant candle, I mean, look where we are. So this is the right location. So maybe we make a higher low. And I like the fact that it's lining up with the overall market being back at these lows, right? So if the market does in fact bottom again down here, then there's no reason to think that EOS can't go on another run. I've been kind of waiting on this 8 to curl back up, but I think this is one where it makes sense to start nibbling. So I've been talking about that and looking at that. I was looking at it Friday, EOS and Ethereum Classic. You're basically back to the same levels that we bought in January, which is great. That's high level trading right there. There's 100% move. There's no reason to think you can't do the same thing again. Santiago, what did you buy? Oh, EOS. Yeah, let's look at SRN, guys, and then I actually got to head out here around lunch. Run a couple errands. It's nice that this exchange has everything against Tether. It's really helpful. I don't know much about this coin, but the price here, you've got pretty good risk reward. I mean, look where that price has been compared to where it is now. I would say that the risk is, though, you do have a little bit of risk from a percentage standpoint between here and whatever. If this is a real low or not, 0. So that's a lot of percentage, that's still 100% loss if you buy here and it goes to 0 and it never gets off 0. But if you scale in and you figure out a dollar amount that you're willing to risk between here and 0, you can get a nice average. And then, There's plenty of reasons why you can get an ebb and flow back this way. There's no reason why you couldn't retest the bands, maybe retrace 50% of this move, maybe even retest longer term, anything's possible. I don't know enough about this coin to really comment on the long term, but that's how I play it. I mean, you're still making lower highs on the intermediate term, but if you want to bottom fish and start a longer term position, I mean, that's what's nice about when you get back to zero is it's like an option, it's a free, whatever you're willing to risk, where your floor is, and then you've got all kinds of upside. So do you guys like that one? SRN? I don't know them. Doesn't mean it's not good. I'd like to learn more about it. Serin Labs? Well, what do they make? Do they make like nerve gas? It sounds like Serin Labs. Serin. Blockchain Tech Corp. All right, sounds cool. I mean, Alex, you're usually all over some of these, so I'm gonna write it down right now. But listen, guys, come join our team. There's a lot of money and opportunities going to be made in this next bull market. So, we're obviously really close to getting this rhythm project started and building out the technology and getting the beta going. But I'm going to really pick up the signals on stuff more intraday. You've already seen me signaling on the short side of futures. And we're going to be getting a lot more aggressive with the signals and stuff. So if you're not already involved with us, this is Block Edge Capital that we're building out. This is our digital asset management firm. We have Rhythm. This is our trading platform. I don't know if you guys are familiar with money.net, but we're going to build Rhythm to something that looks similar to this, but even better. I mean, these guys are kind of competing with Bloomberg. Bloomberg's $2,000 a month, but it's a great platform. You can trade through it. I've used it for many, many, many years. But these guys are trying to compete. I think they're $150 a month. But this is the institutional feel. So, I mean, we're going to have trade alerts that we'll be putting through Rhythm. See, these guys just give you news and data. That's all. These guys aren't trying to help you manage risk. They're not doing what we're doing now, talking about timing, talking about working positions. We're going to be doing real high level trading inside of Rhythm. But if any of you guys are new to that project, that's right here. It's our white paper. You're more than welcome to get in touch with us if that's something you're interested in. What else? The best way to kind of get involved with our team is jenkinsrm.com. Stands for Jenkins Risk Management. This is some of our education, and this is our chat room. It's free to come into the chat room. It's really easy. We have our cryptocurrency trading room, which is it's $99 a month. We put all our trade alerts and research analysis. You interact with, a couple hundred traders talking about mining to master nodes to all the different opportunities. So that's a really great community. That's the easiest way to kind of get involved with us. And then if any of you guys are interested in learning more about kind of what I'm sharing with you, this is the model. This is my 10 years of trading institutionally on the, on some big desks where I covered all the primary dealers. In 2008, I talked to everybody on the whole way down. 10s were going 8 points. 2s were going 6 points. Long bond was going 15 points. We were talking, we lost Lehman, we lost Bear. We talked to all those guys. So all my experience, I put it in the model, trading directionally. We talk risk, analysis, execution. We talk about psychology of trading. It's not just simple technicals. You got to put the whole thing together. So that's that. And then if you want to trade together and you want to go to the next level, this is our group coaching. So, this is where, like, I'm talking to a couple of our traders here. We were working on stuff yesterday that's really already helped them. So that's the best way to grow is you got to trade together live. You got to be in trades together, as it's happening. It's completely different from an emotional standpoint, and from a mental standpoint. And then you guys know, so that's jenkinsrm.com. And then you guys know the Bitcoin podcast, right? So this is the #1 Bitcoin podcast in the US. So Dimitri, Corey, and Cello, these guys that founded it, done an amazing job. And we partner with and work with them a lot. Our show is Buy or Sell What the Hell. But there's some cool stuff on here. They just had the welterweight champ, the UFC on, Johnny Fitch. We're doing another episode tomorrow. So follow us there. You guys can get that on Spotify too. I don't know if you guys knew that. But if you're in the gym or something. And then just follow us on Twitter and do the YouTube stuff. If you can smash the likes, that's always helps us, I guess, boost our rankings. Subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. My Twitter handle is the Jason Jenkins. But anyway, Woodley is? Oh yeah, Bellator. I'm sorry, Martin. You're right. Bellator. We were talking a lot of the UFC stuff, like how they do the business behind it. He's talking about some ideas he's doing with crypto, but just the business behind like how the UFC structures their. It's really interesting. It's kind of a shame that they don't structure it like real sports as far as the business side. Anyway. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, guys. Thanks for jumping on. This is fun. We'll do more of this. I got kind of a busy day tomorrow, but Friday I'll do this again. I think at the same time, and I'll try to talk on something maybe a little bit more specific. I've been doing some work with kind of on the theoretical side about punching holes and deficient market theory and some of this crap that finance has been anchoring on for so long. I kind of started talking about it a little bit last week. We started to understand like randomness and just really more of the statistical behavior of markets, chaos theory, stuff like that. I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your trading day. And I'll talk to some of you guys in the room. Check Santiago, Dims, Martin, Alec. All right, guys. Catch you later.